Hey friends, let's get moving. You are going to need a few things for our class today. So first thing is a blanket, and then optional is a block or a heavy book, okay? So focusing on our waist today, before we do anything else, let's just see how much range of motion we already have in our waist. So just in a comfortable stance, you can put your hands on your hips and let's slide the rib cage over to the right and then slide the rib cage over to the left. So as we're going from side to side here, the bottom of the rib cage is staying parallel to the ground, okay? So we're not doing a side bend, okay? We're not doing this, and we're also not sticking the ribs up and forward. So if you're having trouble feeling it, you can always come with your back to the wall. And this way, you'll remember that you need to keep the ribs pretty mellow, and then the head can rest against the wall as well. And you can slide along the wall. Okay, so whichever way you're choosing to explore that, really get clear on how it feels to take the ribs to the right and then to take the ribs to the left. Okay, so now let's work on it. So we're gonna come down to the ground, and I'm going to, there's a few ways that you can work this with the blanket, and depending on the size of your body and the size of your blanket and the mobility of your tissues, you'll figure out, you get to play around and figure out which way works best for you. So one way to do it is to use a roll for your blanket. And for me personally, as someone who likes a little bit more sensation in the work, I'm gonna instead kind of I'm gonna try to make a little chunk with my blanket. So I have this little blanket chunk, okay? Now, you're gonna put your roll or your chunk down beside you, and you're gonna come to lie down on your side. So this chunk is gonna go in between your pelvis and your rib cage on the right side. And so you can really kind of get it in there. Now, to make it super relaxing, or a little bit more relaxing, I'm gonna put my block here as a pillow for my head. Okay, so here, just take a moment to notice how we've really scrunched up the right side, and as a result, the left side is lengthening. Take some nice deep breaths. When you're inhaling, can you feel some expansion in your rib cage? Can you feel the individual ribs separating from one another as well? Can you feel that when you're inhaling, your diaphragm presses down, and so the organs in your abdomen distend, which makes your abdomen look larger. And then as you exhale, just the diaphragm reflexively rises, and so all of those organs kind of get put back into place, and your abdomen looks smaller. So see if you can feel that breath happening. Now, let's go ahead and take a big breath in, and then as you exhale, you're gonna move your right hip towards your shoulder and the right rib cage down towards the right hip. So if I sit up and I do the same action, I'll move my arms out of the way, it's gonna look like this, okay? So this is the action that we're doing. We're hiking the hip and crunching the side, okay? So I'm coming back in here. So we're gonna take a big breath in, hold your breath and do that side crunch, and then exhale and relax. Okay, so again, inhale, hold the breath for a moment, do that side crunch, and you feel your tissues kind of squeezing your blanket chunk. And then exhale, relax. One more. Inhale, hold your breath. Do your crunch, side crunch. Oops, I started to breathe out. Still holding. And then exhale and relax. Okay, so before we leave this spot, see what it feels like to rock your body forward and backward on your blanket roll or your blanket chunk, whatever you're using. Okay, now let's go ahead and push ourselves back upright. Now just take a full breath in and out. Notice any difference from side to side. And now let's switch. I'm gonna move my chunk over to the other side, move my block pillow over to the other side. And here we go, laying over and really getting the blanket kind of wedged in between the ribs and the pelvis on the left side. So as I've come into this, I'm noticing that this side is actually a little bit more tender than the other side, and this chunk felt like too much pressure. So I'm gonna find what's kind. I'm gonna take a step down here and come back to the blanket roll. Ah, so much better. Okay. So here we go. Let's first just lie here and explore the feeling of the breath. A few reminders. Can you feel that your inhale is creating space in your rib cage and even in between your individual ribs? Can you feel that the pressure of your body on the blanket changes from your inhale to your exhale? Okay, now let's add the side crunch. So remember, the action is that you're bringing the left hip towards the left shoulder and then the left side of the rib cage down towards the left hip as well. Okay, so let's inhale and then hold the breath. Do the side crunch. And exhale, relax. And I need to readjust a little bit there. There we go. Okay, and let's do it again. Inhale. Do that side crunch. Hold the breath. And exhale. And let's do it one more time. Inhale. Side crunch, hold the breath. And exhale and relax. And before we get up, just explore rocking your body a little bit forward and a little bit back. Great. Okay, let's go ahead and press up. Now, take a deep breath. Whoo! My waist feels so free. I hope yours does too. Let's go ahead and stand up. And you'll need your block close by. We're gonna do the movement without the block or the heavy book first, and then we'll add in the book. So when you stand up, take a moment to make sure that your rib cage is not thrusting up towards the ceiling. we want to invite the ribs to drop. Okay, and that's a releasing action. It's not necessarily an engaging action from the upper abs, okay? Just let your ribs drop down. Okay, so when we've let the ribs drop down, we know that they're kind of a little bit more stacked over the pelvis so that we can really concentrate the movement to the waist and not necessarily into a bending motion of the spine or a forward back bending motion of the spine. Okay, so now go ahead and shift your ribs to the right. Whoa, they just keep going. And then shift your ribs to the left. So much more range of motion for me right now, it feels like. Or it just feels like so much easier. It's a more even slide. Okay, so we've hopefully freed up some range here. So now we're gonna load the range. And so the movement first is, we're gonna go to the right side first. You're gonna slide your ribs to the right, and as you do that, you're also gonna bring your right hand and slide it down the outer seam of your pants. And then you're gonna exhale to come back to center. My ribs keep wanting to pop up. Okay, so again, you're gonna shift your ribs to the side. Your right hand's gonna slide down the outer seam of your pants, and then you're gonna exhale and come back to the center. Okay, but we're gonna alternate sides. So let's do 2 on the left to feel it out first. So take your ribs to the left, and then let your left hand slide down the outer seam of your pants, any amount, and then as you exhale, come back to center. And again, inhale, ribs slide to the left, slide down the outer seam of the pants, exhale, back to center. So you have to tune in now. Does it feel like it would be kinder for your body to stick with this range of motion and this load, just the natural load that your body provides itself and that gravity provides? Or would you like to add load to it? So if you would like to add load to it, and remember, you can give it a try, and if it doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel kind, you can nix it. So you'll need your block or your heavy book. Start by holding it in your right hand. Mellow ribs. Okay, so now shift the ribs to the right, and you're gonna slide the block down the out seam of the pants any amount, and then as you exhale, come back up to center. And then let's switch the block over to the left hand. Same thing here. Mellow ribs. Ribs to the left. Slide the block down any amount. And then as you exhale, come back to center. So we're just gonna go from side to side here. Nice, slow and controlled movement. So this is a move that can come with you off of the mat, out of your exercise time. You can make it kind of a sly thing, like, oh, I'm gonna set my bag down on the ground this way. And when I go to pick it up, I'm gonna do it in reverse. Okay, so you can try to fit it in this way. When you need to set something down on the ground, you can set it down as far as you can go with your waist, and then move the other parts of your body to get to the rest of where you need to go. Let's do one more each way. So let's see. We have to do this one on the left, and then it'll be one more each way, because we started on the right. Okay, here we go. Last one on the right. Last one on the left. Okay, now let's bring it down for a yummy stretch. So come back down to the ground, come into a kneeling position, and you're gonna shift your hips off to the left. So if your hips don't make it all the way to the ground, put a blanket in between your hip and the ground, or the block even. You can also do this if sitting like this doesn't feel well for your knees and your ankles or whatever. You can do this sitting in a chair. And so you just sit sideways in the chair and let your left hip hang off the chair. So you're really just sitting in the chair with your right hip only, okay? And so you're letting your left hip move down away from the left shoulder. And then we're gonna bring the left hand behind the head, mellow ribs, head moves back into the left hand, and you can side bend over to the right, any amount. And then enjoy that big expansive breath. Last one. Great. Okay, come upright. And then let's exhale and shift the hips back up onto the heels for center. And let's go over to the other side. So let your hips fall down to the right. And again, if you need the blanket or if you need to sit in the chair, feel free to do that as well. So let your ribs mellow, okay? And then bring your right hand behind your head and move your head back into your right hand, and then side bend over to the left, any amount. Expansive breaths. Feeling that the abdomen is moving because of the movement of your diaphragm, but also that you're inviting a lot of air and movement into the rib cage. Last one. And come back upright. And now let's shift the hips back up onto the heels on an exhale. Great. Now come up to stand. And let's just do that test one more time. So bring your hands to your hips, shift your ribs to the right. Whoa, they just are going so far. And then come back to center and shift your ribs to the left. I might have said hips that first side. I don't know, but I think you know what I mean. Okay, so hopefully you feel like you have a free waist to help you hold yourself up, put things down, and take nice expansive breaths. Thank you so much for taking this time to focus on you, because remember, when you take care of yourself, you can show up so much bigger and better for the other folks in your life. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.